used to tell myself I was half of one thing and half of another. Witch on one side, normal on the other. Whatever normal is. And if I kept the line fixed straight down the middle, then maybe no one would take any notice. Thursday nights meant the youth centre basement. Damp concrete walls, strip lights blinking tirelessly as an abandoned vending machine watched empty from the corner. It was Shannon's place. No one ever argued about that. She called it a coven, though it was really just a club. A way of saying they weren't like the kids upstairs, with pool cues and cigarettes. No, they were different. Down here it was incense sticks from the corner shop, cheap candles and borrowed words from old paperbacks that sounded like real spells if you whispered them low. They believed it was theirs, their power. And me, I was just the note-taker, the extra. The one they let sit in the corner, pen neat on the page, as if writing their antics down gave some weight to their nonsense. Shannon stood like she owned the place, chin high, arms folded, her hair bleached in long streaks. Her best friend Jade hovered nervously at her side. As always, Keisha was loud, trying to hide her nerves. Ash leaned back, boots on the furniture, while the cousins, Tony and Leanne, just listened. And me, the hanger-on, I remained mostly unseen. They called me half-witch. They tried pitching it as a joke. But whenever Shannon said it, it was clearly aimed to dig deep beneath the skin. Mum used to say power sits in small things. Stirring the soup, whispering look into the back door. Only when you need it, Karis, she'd say. There's no need to show off. Dad told me the opposite. Act normal. Don't draw attention to yourself. He put up with Mum's ways for as long as he could. Then one day he left, searching for a more normal life. That night, the strip lights had shuddered and buzzed so loudly. Keisha kept laughing. See, Shan? Even the building's joining in. Shannon smirked like the power belonged to her. I told you, this place listens. The week before, a glass had shifted on the table. Just an inch. Shannon had claimed that too. That's what happens when you open the circle, right? She tried to own everything. As usual, I had remained quiet. What could I say? That sometimes, when I thought too hard about Mum's voice, things slipped sideways. No, it was better to toe the line. Shannon cracked open her energy drink on the table, and the others straightened. Tonight, she said, we'll do it properly. Salt, candles, the lot. I'd never seen them move so quickly. Lighting the incense, scattering the salt, placing the tea lights in a shaky triangle. I just sat there and noted it all down, doing as I was told. The strip light fizzed again, casting long shadows. Shannon tilted her head. See? It's starting. They believed that every flicker, every cold draft, and every guttering flame was Shannon's doing. It all belonged to her. When she told me to sit at the edge of their triangle, I obeyed. Because that was my part, to watch, to write it down. They began to chant their words stolen from websites and bad TV shows. Their voices were shaky at first. Then they found their rhythm, their eyes brimming with self-belief. Surely they were witches, because that's what witches did. I felt something awaken within me, a warmth I'd never asked for. I felt its pressure under my ribs, forcing me to clench my fists while I tried desperately to contain it. The pen slipped from my grip and clattered to the floor. Every head turned. "Pick it up," Shannon said, sharp and certain. But I didn't. Couldn't. Instead, I muttered under my breath. Mum's words. Old words. They slipped out before I even knew what I'd said. "She said something," Jade whispered. "Did you hear that?" And that was when the air went colder. The book slammed against the wall, and the salt scattered by a sudden gust as the candles bent and died. The chanting came to an abrupt stop, and beneath the burning white of the strip lights, I felt the weight of the silence. For once, Shannon was silent. That smug grin of hers absent while she dug her nails into the table. It's just the electrics," she said, her voice crackly and thin. No one looked at her, not even Jade, whose bottom lip was now bloodied from biting. Keisha's laugh broke in her throat. "It was her. It had to be," Keisha muttered. Everyone stared at me, and this time their eyes weren't full of ridicule or loathing, but something else, a fearful caution. I scraped back the chair and stood, watching them flinch. "I'm going home," I said. Shannon gestured to move but remained fixed to her chair. "If you leave now..." I left before she finished her sentence, marching down the corridor and stepping out into the slick, rain-drenched street. Mum's words followed me. "Only when you need it, Car. Only when it matters." They all believed I was nothing. But what happened in that basement said different. The next morning at college, everything looked the same. But it wasn't. Shannon hadn't come near me. She hadn't needed to. The message came by way of Jade, slipping past me with a nervous little smile. "Shannon says we'll meet later. Same place, don't be late." That was how it always worked. Shannon never wasted her words on me. But something had shifted. In the canteen, the cousins kept their heads down. Keisha laughed too loud, filling the room with noise. Ash leaned back, arms folded, but her eyes didn't leave me. I could have easily put last night down to bad wiring, but by the fearful look in their eyes, nobody else was. Later that evening, back at the basement, Shannon sat perched on the table edge, chin high, commanding the room. "Right," she said. "Let's settle in. No messing around tonight." The others nodded, but no one dared to look my way. I sat in my usual spot, notebook open, playing the part they'd given me, the scribe, the harmless little half-witch. As per the routine, they laid out the salt, lit candles, and whispered their scraps of chant. All theatre, of course. But they kept glancing at the strip lights, waiting. When the bulbs buzzed, no one laughed. Shannon forced a smirk. "That's us," she said. "That's how you know it's working." But her words rang hollow. Jade tugged at her sleeve. Keisha cracked her knuckles, and Ash remained silent. And me, I wrote it down, hand steady, though the warmth was back beneath my ribs, awake now, quiet and certain. When they packed up, they cleared out fast, smoke clinging to their clothes. Usually they hung around for a while, chatting and messing around, but not that night. Shannon was last out of the door. She looked over her shoulder at me before she left. "Whatever that was the other night," she said. Don't kid yourself it was you, because it wasn't. You don't have it. You never will. She left before I could answer, her words lingering like the sickly smell of incense. Mum's voice rose soft and certain. Only when you need it, Car. Only when it matters. I wondered if Shannon had always known, because the look in their eyes that night hadn't been for her, but for me. Friday night, the basement felt colder than usual, and if you stood still long enough, your breath fogged in the half-light. To everyone's surprise, Shannon arrived late, something she never did. She threw her bag down onto the ground, a fierce look of challenge burning in her eyes. Tonight, she said, we do it properly. No excuses. Everyone agreed with a shrug or a flat nod, and again, no one dared to look my way. Shannon laid out the circle. Salt neat, candles at the points, incense burning so thickly it stung. Don't just sit there, Karis, she snapped, as I hesitated with my notebook. Write it down. It's the only reason you're here. I did as I was told, watching while they began to chant. Their voices sounded quieter, less confident, as though they were frightened the air might actually answer. The strip lights flickered, causing them all to jump, although they quickly tried to hide it. Shannon's grin widened. See, that's us. The warmth rose sharp inside me. I gripped the pen tighter, telling myself to stay small, to stay quiet. Their chant grew faster. Smoke bent sideways, salt scattered, and the candle spat wax. I listened to their gasps, the fear in their eyes holding them silent. Slowly, Shannon raised her chin. We're stronger tonight. Don't stop. The fixtures shook as the lights gave a violent buzz. A chair toppled over, and water rippled in the bowl. Shannon raised her voice. By our power... She fell silent as the syllables ripped out of me. Old words, Mum's words, rough, broken, alive. The room answered, the air tearing sideways, folders sliding from the shelves. And once again, the candles flared, bent, and then died. And then there was silence. A vast, weighted silence. I sat still as though petrified to my chair, my chest heaving, the warmth steadying now, flowing through me like it belonged. When I looked up, every pair of eyes was on me. Jade's hand shook. Keisha tried to laugh but could barely open her mouth. The cousin stared blankly. Ash's smirk wiped cleanly from her face. I'd never seen Shannon look so pale. Her lips pressed into a thin line. It was us, she snapped. All of us. Don't you go getting ideas now. She glanced at her entourage for confirmation, but none of them nodded back. Instead, they fixed me with a stare. That old pity and contempt was absent. Their eyes showed only fear. Again, I scraped back my chair and stood up. I've had enough, I said. Shannon stood up. If you walk out now, don't expect to come back. I stared at her, but the girl who had claimed every flicker and every chill draft, for once, was unable to stare back. Fine, I said, and slowly walked out. The air felt thinner when I stepped outside. The city hummed on, buses groaning past, the neon lights flickering on the wet pavement, oblivious to our existence. But something had changed. Mum's whispers travelled on the breeze. Only when you need it, Karis. Only when it matters. I'd spent my whole life calling myself half of something, feeling incomplete. Yet what I felt that night was whole, something ancient, and rooted to the soil, and more importantly, something that was mine.